Each of the life on Machair sites exhibits some level of damage due to changes in land use over the last 50 years. Each site also has a unique story of development and how it has been used over time. This story provides the information that is key to understanding and developing a restoration pathway for each site. Understanding how Machair systems have formed is an important part in understanding how we can help protect and restore these areas where they have been damaged by human activities. This will also serve to protect and restore the species that use them. Each Machair system comprises an array of habitats: embryonic dunes, fixed dunes and Machair grassland, lagoons, lakes and wetlands, all generally backed by peatlands. How they develop over time leads to an apparently seamless mosaic. Understanding the connections between each part of the system is critical to understanding their future. The beach to the driftline is the part of the system where sand is washed onto the shore. Storms in 2011 and 2014 resulted in vast quantities of sand and shingle covering large areas of green land on the northwest coast of Ireland. Infrastructure such as roads and car parks within Machair sites were damaged or lost. The impacts of these events are stark reminders of how harsh conditions along the northwest coast can be, how robust coastal systems have to be to protect human settlement and infrastructure. As sand is deposited on our beaches over time, it can be trapped within the seaweed washed up on the shore, or it can be trapped by the scattered plants that grow just above the tide line. Plants that grow here, such as sea rocket and sandwort, are hardy annual. Sea rocket can be an important plant for pollinators late in the summer. Sand gathering in these areas can develop small, embryonic dunes which can become the beginnings of a new dune system. Just above the high tide line, grasses such as marram and couch grass begin to establish. These species are sand-loving. Marram is often most obvious with its spiky, inward-rolled leaves and deep root system, allowing this plant to establish in an otherwise challenging environment. As the plants grow and accumulate sand around them, they help create what is described as foredunes. These foredunes are generally where people like to spend time on the beach, and they are often vulnerable to damage from trampling and vehicle use due to their lack of stability. Behind these foredunes we can find the fixed dunes that in some areas have existed for millennia. Wind and sand, supported by plants such as marram, can create dune systems up to 10 metres high. They are diverse habitats comprising a mosaic of dry grassland on slopes and high areas, as well as wetland habitats and hollows. Where Machair plains have developed behind the fixed dunes, they have arisen because of the relentless Atlantic winds blowing the sand further inland and forming a blanket across the wider landscape. Where the land is flat, we see flat grassy plains or Machair grassland, interspersed with wetlands and lakes. Where the land is hilly beyond the dunes, the sand blows across the hills, forming what is known as hilly or climbing Machair. In the main, Machair systems are backed inland by peatland, often with layers of peat visible under the sand-blown layer, illustrating the dynamic nature of these landscapes on the front line of the forceful Atlantic. Humans have long and intimate history with Machair systems. Across many of our coastal areas, we find evidence of ancient human settlement through the presence of middens and other archaeological remains. The monastic culture of the medieval age is prominent also, particularly on sites such as the Inishkea Islands with its associations with Columcille and St Dervla. Throughout history, from the beginnings of farming in Ireland, Machair systems were highly prized for their light sandy soils and dry land in winter, in contrast to the nearby boggy lands. These areas were prime winter grazing when there was limited other land available for grazing cattle, but equally in places they allowed for extensive grazing of cattle outdoors throughout the year. These were also good for tillage, oats and porridge, two important crops from the Machair, promoted by the use of seaweed gathered locally as fertiliser and a complex of rotational cropping. Grazing is an important aspect in these systems. It is a key part of getting the balance right. This balance has been disrupted since the 1970s, when dramatic changes in grazing regime of these areas occurred due to a shift to high numbers of sheep from low levels of cattle that has had a damaging effect on the habitats of the Machair system, in terms of their resilience and robustness to Atlantic storms, but also in terms of the diversity of its component species. Getting the balance right for the future sustainable farming and for recreational and tourism related use of Machair systems is a key objective of the Life on Machair project. In general, the habitat should be species diverse, show a good variety in relation to structure, and there should be no ongoing damaging activities. Some of the actions to help restore damaged habitats include working with farmers and landowners to identify how to conserve and restore good habitat quality. This includes finding the right level of the grazing for the site, trialling habitat restoration techniques targeted for each site type. This includes reducing and/or removing stock from areas that are under pressure, and trialling other actions to promote build-up of sand and revegetation such as chestnut fencing.